Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I'm Andy Signore. Just started a live feed, and I've been catching up with former detective and now private investigator John Hubbard. So glad to have you back, John. How have you been?
I'm great. Working hard.
Good. Well, I know you. I texted you because we're getting some breaking news today regarding the Gabby Petito case, and I dragged you into that case early. You were involved. You got invested, and it looks like the case has now been closed. And I wanted to get some of your insight because I know you're not familiar entirely with what is happening and what the new information is. But for all of you those watching, the FBI Denver has now provided final investigative update on the Gabby Petito case. There's a lot of reveals in here, but let's go through what they've revealed. Yesterday, the family of Gabby Petito met with FBI here in Tampa, John, by us, Tampa Field Office. The investigation will be closed in the near future. All logical investigative steps have been concluded in this case, said FBI Denver Division Special Agent Michael Schneider. The investigation did not identify any other individuals other than Brian Laundrie directly involved in the tragic death of Gabby Petito. The FBI's primary focus throughout the investigation was to bring justice to Gabby and her family. The public's role in helping us in this endeavor was invaluable as the investigation was covered in the media around the world. On behalf of the FBI, I want to express my deepest appreciation to the public for the thousands of tips that were provided during the investigation, and our local, state, federal law enforcement partners for their work throughout the investigation. FBI opened its investigation into disappearance on September 12th, 2021. Upon receiving reports from Gabby's family that Miss Petito was missing, the FBI worked with federal, state, and local officials, organized a search of a remote area within the Grand Teton National Park, Bridger-Teton National Forest. On September 19th, the search team located the remains, thanks to the internet and YouTube, located the remains of Miss Petito on the Spread Creek dispersed camping area near where she and Brian Laundrie had been seen together. Miss Petito was found approximately 3 weeks after her last known communication. The Teton County's coroner office concluded that she died of blunt force injuries to the head and neck with manual strangulation. While law enforcement investigated all logical leads, the investigation quickly focused on the last person believed to see her alive, Mr. Brian Laundrie. Following is a timeline of the investigation. FBI investigation revealed that August 30th to September 1st, Mr. Laundrie had used Miss Petito's debit card without authorization on his drive back to Florida from Wyoming. After Gabby's death, there were several text messages identified between Mr. Laundrie's telephone and Gabby's telephone. The timing and content of these messages are indicative of Brian Laundrie attempting to deceive law enforcement by giving the impression that Miss Petito was still alive. Well, that's a new interesting revelation. We didn't know that was official. Brian was texting Gabby back and forth to try and throw the scent off that she wasn't murdered. On September 15th, Mr. Laundrie's Ford Mustang was recovered from Carlton Jr. Memorial Reserve in Northport, Florida. September 17th, Mr. Laundrie's parents reported him missing shortly after law enforcement conducted a welfare check at their residence. September 18th, law enforcement commenced an extensive search of the park where Mr. Laundrie's vehicle was parked and did not locate Brian. They failed to mention the whole point, John, about how they lost him, and there's a lot of stuff they're skipping out of this timeline, but you guys who've been watching, you know the real story, but here's the FBI's tale of the tale. On September 22nd, District Court for District Wyoming issued a federal arrest warrant for Mr. Laundrie. The warrant was issued grand jury, yada, 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 for unauthorized access devices related to Mr. Laundrie's activities following the death of Gabby. On October 7th, after law enforcement made a request through the Laundrie family attorney, Stephen Bertolino, the Laundries provided personal effects to law enforcement which were used to assist the search in the Myahatchee Creek Environmental Park. October 20th, after water had receded from the area and the park was reopened, Mr. Bertolino notified law enforcement that Mr. Laundrie's parents intended to return to the park to search for Brian. Law enforcement officers were present when Mr. Laundrie's parents located an item in the park, later determined to belong to Mr. Laundrie. Upon farther search of the area, investigators found human remains later confirmed to be Brian Laundrie, along with a backpack, notebook, and a revolver. A review of the notebook revealed written statements by Mr. Laundrie claiming responsibility for Gabby's death. So that's the biggest reveal now. The notebook does have statements, they say, where Brian did confess. On November 23rd, the District 12 medical examiner, Sarasota, released a report in the manner and cause of death of Mr. Laundrie. The report concluded that Mr. Laundrie died of self-inflicted gunshot wound. The FBI thanks all the law enforcement, yada, yada, yada. So there you go. So the big takeaways here, there's a few. The Gabby case is now closed. On top of that, Brian Laundrie confessed and did it, and that was in the notebook near. This is now, that's sort of the big news story out there. But I'm also seeing that Steve Derlino is saying that the parents are not going to be charged in connection with the murder, and that this is basically all done and done with. Now, the parents have sat through, and we may watch some of this interview after I talk to John for a bit. They sat with Fox for a pretty long, in-depth interview, sort of exclusively going through in a tell-all interview about what happened. But before we get all to that, that's where we stand right now. John, my biggest question is, like, if they knew that, what on earth took so long? They had the notebook. They know what's going on. Like, why do you think this investigation took another months before they finally just told us what happened?
Maybe they all needed a big vacation, No, it's ridiculous. They should have, they knew when they found the body that it was his. It was not very long before they identified it positively. They just drug it out, really. There shouldn't have been this long of a period, especially, what did I tell you all along? I wanted to see what was in that journal.
Yep.
See what notes that he was taking while he was out there. And they had it. They had it all along. They've known this. So, they just, for whatever reason, they decided to drag it out till now. And now, drop this bomb that it's over and done with.
It's so weird because, they've had it. They've had it since October 20th.
3 months.
3 months they've had and known what's going on.
Yep.
And you're right. It sounds like they just, let's do it after the holidays. We'll get to it at some point. It was case closed at that point.
They drove to no end. I can't imagine a local law enforcement would have done the same. These guys they drag everything out. They want to make sure, this came back, this came. So, it is what it is,
What is your thought here on it's ultimately going to come down to the Petitos if they want to try to attempt to find, go for civil charges against the Laundries. But the big unanswered question I think a lot of us still have is, what did the parents know, right? And why didn't they just speak up sooner to help try and clear this up? Or maybe they did, but it's not mentioned here. Maybe the Petito family seems to, in their statements, never acknowledge the fact that they never heard from him. Do you think there's something here where they can go against the Laundries and try to get some accountability there?
The parents are going to claim that they were cooperating all along, even though that they didn't tell us. That's what they're going to claim. And here's a little bit of egg on the face of the FBI and the local police down there is, in fact, they were right. They said he was in that preserve, and they didn't find him. And guess what? When the water receded, they went out there and found him anyway. To me, that's egg in the face, not to mention the fact that their surveillance, they lost the guy. So, law enforcement, they're not in a very good position to be charging anybody with anything, unless they want to charge themselves for being, jackasses and losing evidence.
Yeah, it's just weird. The Petitos seem like really nice people. They're trying to focus on the foundation, and I send so much support their way. It couldn't have been easy. They got this information. The FBI obviously has to tell them first. So they were in Tampa yesterday getting all this intel. But I don't know. I'm very curious if they're going to try and pursue.
At this point, now that the case is closed, now the Petitos need to get a public records request and get 100% of what the FBI had and when they had it. And that will actually it's going to come up with a lot more information that we don't have yet. Like, what did they do? Did they tap the phones? Did they bug any of the cars or anything else? What did they know? When did they know it? And what do they know from the parents? What was recovered off the electronics, cell phones, computers, all that? Let's just look at Brian Laundrie's phone itself. What conversation was he having with his parents, and when, and what was that conversation? There's a lot of things that we don't have. And, to me, the case is closed. So if the FBI got it through subpoena or other means, it's time to ante up and put it out there.
Yeah,
if they're looking for any kind of a payday of any sort, they first need to get everything that they can get first.
Do you think there is an opportunity? When you say payday, I think just justice. But yeah, also if there was wrongdoing, they should, get paid towards the foundation. But do you think there was wrongdoing they can try to get paid for?
Always a possibility of that. The parents. What family is allegedly innocent and hires a spokesperson, attorney, defense attorney speak for them. I mean, I'm sorry, that to me is cockblock the family,
right? Especially when it's like they're the in-laws, the daughter's been living with them, like they're a family, they're all connected family. It never made any sense. We do have two statements I've seen here. So, Gabby Petito's family, through their attorneys, said the family would like to thank the Federal Bureau, the FBI, specifically Wyoming, Denver, New York, and Tampa, all the task force members and their assisting agencies. Gabby's family would like to thank the FBI's Victim Services Department. They've been there from the earliest stages of this investigation and helped their entire family navigate through the worst moments of their lives. We truly appreciate the FBI's diligent and painstaking efforts in this extremely complicated case. The quality and quantity of the facts and information collected by the FBI leave no doubt that Brian Laundrie murdered Gabby. So again, confirm. And then here's Laundrie's family attorney, Steve Bertolino, who, yes, correct. Why did they need him? Gabby and Brian are no longer with their families, and this tragedy has caused enormous emotional pain and suffering to all who loved either or both of them. We can only hope that with today's closure of the case, each family can begin to heal and move forward and find peace in and with the memories of their children. May Gabby and Brian both rest in peace. So he's so weird. If you only loved one or the other, come on. Like,
what do you expect him to say? Here's what I get. If I'm the Petito family, let's go back when Gabby was still alive. Let's go back and find out what they knew, what intervention and prevention could have and should have occurred back then to keep my daughter still here with us. That's what I'm more concerned about. Nothing that's going to happen in a courtroom is going to bring either of them back. You know, Brian took his own life, and he took her life, as we surmised in the beginning anyway. So the deal is, what did the parents know, and when did they know it? And you remember the trip that Brian came back and then went back out there? She was still alive. So he went back out there to what? Kill her. We know that's what happened. He went back out and killed her.
And what was happening between then? Like, it makes me wonder, what was actually she doing during that period?
So personally, I would have some kind of a motion in the court to get Brian's phone and let me take it to a forensic specialist and let me image that phone. So that's going to get everything that's on there and most of what he has deleted. And the Petitos probably have Gabby's. I'd want both phones, and I'd want to, like I said, do a forensic dump on both of them.
So that, just so you know, guys, you can't, even you think you delete it, they still keep so many imprints on those devices that you can get a lot of data from it.
There is a lot of stuff. So like if I take a phone and I look at it and it says it's got 2,000 pictures on it, and once my forensic team images it, they might find 20,000 pictures. Okay, so just because you deleted it doesn't mean it's really gone. And
is that why Alec Baldwin, you think, was so hesitant to give up his phone? Because I mean, he might have been trying to. Is it easy to catch when someone like he is? And again, I don't mean to pivot too much, but if someone like him or Brian are trying to clean up their phone, forensics and the FBI at this point with phone data, you're screwed. They're going to figure it out.
I am not going to educate the general public here on what they should or shouldn't do, but I would just tell you, majority of the time, if you delete it, it is still there, and I will still bring it back. I'm not going to tell you things that you can do,
So there are ways potentially around it if you know what you're doing. Obviously, I don't want to support that, but someone in the know could attempt to do something, but clearly Brian wasn't in the know.
Well, I mean, a lot of these guys, I love these IT specialists that think that they're so smart. I love to be in the dumbest guy and just take it to somebody smarter than me and smarter than them.
Yeah, don't reveal the secrets. But yeah, the moral of the story is, you're screwed, and don't do something bad and try to cover up and delete your data. Once they get a copy, you're screwed.
If there's a phone involved and I get my hands on it, Nelly, bar the door, because it's going to reveal it all. And actually, when I do the dump, it'll show the things that you deleted that I got back. It'll say, here's what they deleted from the phone, and here it all is.
I mean, do you the FBI must know more as to what the Laundries knew, and they're not telling us that. And to me, that's sort of the Petitos' now chance to sort of speak up if they choose to really put them on blast.
Now that it's a closed case, they should get that. I would definitely get it for no other reason, just so I know whether they decide to follow through with the lawsuit or not. But now I can tell you, the media outlets, the big CNNs, the Foxes, the MSC, all the big deals, they're probably all going to be doing public records requests anyway to get all that data. And then they've got some flunky like me going through it and saying, oh, this is a good thing here. This is something good. But it's time consuming, and the FBI is not going to provide it for free. They charge. Anybody that does public records request knows. I mean, it's not expensive for what you get, but you pay their hourly rates, you pay for all the copies, you pay for their, SD cards or whatever. It's worth it. So if it were me, I would definitely go get everything of it. I'd get 100% of everything they got.
Interesting. So again, it's really the ball's in the Petito's case, court now, whereas case is closed. Now they and their lawyer can attempt to say, what do we do next? Is there anything to do next? Should we do anything next? Is where we're going to find.
Right. That's up to them. They got to decide what they want to do.
It seems like they're pretty, calm on it. It doesn't seem like they want to go make some big stink and drag out some salacious thing.
To them, they wanted Brian's, they wanted Brian justice with them, and he went ahead and made it cheaper on the whole world, by what he did.
What's really weird is there was another thing I wanted to, because as I was doing this, they spoke about the fact that Bertolino is mentioning that sorry, I'm trying to find the exact thing they said though, because he made another statement. There's a lot of items that they sort of met. Both parents met, and I guess their lawyers spoke about how they were going to just sort of disperse the items. And what was really interesting was, to my child, I can't find the exact thing, but from what I'm gathering, and sorry if people in the headline chat, anybody can find me the article. I thought I had it here, but I don't seem to have it on deck. They were saying, from what I read, that they were negotiating, John, like who got what pieces, and then the question was, well, who's going to keep the notebook? And Bertolino admitted, I'm not going to tell you which family got the notebook. Do you think there's like a negotiation or a value there? Like, who in your eyes should have gotten that notebook? I mean, the Laundries, I suppose, right? It's their sons.
I'm sure they're going to get it, but I'm also 100% certain it really doesn't matter about the book, because both sides are going to get a copy of it. So who cares?
They'll get like a photocopy of it or something. That's standard?
No, there's no doubt that thing was copied. It's already entered into the ledger of this case. So if you can make a public records request and get a copy of it yourself.
Interesting. Really? They can't protect certain things like that are suicide notes that they don't want out in the world? That is eventually going to get into a public record?
Hey, there's a lot of things we don't want. Go look at your YouTube channels all the time. Look at all these slayings that occur or homicide scenes that law enforcement did. And when they close the case, guess what? It's public record. And you got guys making money off those all day long, going on there and narrating, what occurred, what should have occurred, and all that. It's gruesome. Doesn't mean that it's not legal to get. Somebody wants it, they get it.
Yeah,
it's
here it was.
Sexual stuff sexual things are usually protected. Outside of that,
interesting. Petito's and Laundrie's families have reached an agreement on how the couple's belonging, including the notebook, will be distributed. Laundrie family attorney Steve Berlino said Friday, about 4 months after the remains were found in Wyoming. Laundrie has been the subject. Berlino would not say which family will receive the notebook. The Petito family met with the FBI in Tampa this week to reach an agreement distributing the belongings, etc. So it looks like they're just trying to clean everything up, and everybody is.
Well, you want to know another side of this, and this is not my place at all. So, but there's another side. People do these things to make money. Somebody's going to want to make a movie out of this, and having that notebook being or duplicated to be a part of the movie is going to be a deal. Now, I'm not a movie producer. I'm not interested in that at all. But somebody's sitting back thinking how many millions they could make if they could hurry up and make a movie while this is still fresh in people's minds.
I mean, they could do it without their permission, but I guess it's like the Laundrie's version is a valuable version, correct?
It is. Both of them are. But how sickening would it be for the Laundries to benefit financially in any way, shape, or form from these deaths?
Ugh. I mean, I can't. I'm sure it's possible, judging by what the discussing things they've done to this point and not calling.
If I knew they were behind anything, I would never contribute one penny of money to seeing or obtaining anything where they could benefit financially from me.
I mean, they also could get money doing some sort of tell-all interview that finally tells their side of things. I think that's still probably the only valuable thing they have left.
That's not as much money as a movie.
Sure. I mean, or they write the book, right? If they write a book and then they can sell the rights to said movie and everything else through the said book is probably the better way to sort of maximize that.
But they probably won't be the only ones writing,
Yeah, but I'm just saying,
So-
look, again, this is out of place a bit, but it's like, yeah, I mean, if you really want to make more money and do marketing, you don't talk until you are ready to release the book, right? You don't go do interviews all over the place and tell everybody everything. You wait, hold it, and then
For the most part,
the demand is more,
yeah.
involved, because you're like, oh my God, we haven't heard them actually say a word. So I do think they have a value there if they decided to, but it doesn't seem like that's what they want. As awful as we say them, it does seem like they're just like, we want this over with. Leave us alone. Go away. Do you suspect that?
Time will tell.
Yeah, I mean, everybody needs money at some point.
I can't imagine, anything them getting involved, but you never know. I mean, we're in a different world than we were, 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's wild. It's a weird ending. I mean, we all got so caught up in this story. There were so many directions, but this ending really was the most obvious ending that I think a lot of people still. In fact, I haven't asked this question, John, in so long. Do you think Brian Laundrie is alive?
You hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Can you hear me? It's cutting out the video, but you're good.
Because I just messed this thing up. I can barely hear you.
I'm going to ask the chat one more time.
I told you straight up that when they found that body and they came up and said that's him, I believed it 100%. And I told you and your audience that as well.
I'm going to ask this audience. Let's see if they've normalized or
followers that thought he was still alive.
There was a high percentage of people. You can attest. There was a high percentage of people who still thought he was alive. I'm curious if they still are here today. So I put the poll out. Let's compare the number. What is the reality check here? Is Brian Laundrie still alive? When we did this last time, guys, 3 months ago, it was in the 50, 60%. No, he's still alive. It was pretty high. So right now, 20% are saying yes. So it's dwindled quite a bit since our last attempt. So fascinating to see. But I'm curious. There's still 23% of you out there still think, nope, this is all a cover up. Brian is still alive. Sorry, guys, I can't see it, but
yeah,
to each their own. John, you're cut.
To me,
there you are. I hear you. Final thoughts on this, John, as we because there's.
So I can't believe that there's any percentage, other than, I'm just being real, other than the mentally unstable that could think anything other than both of them are dead. They're not here. There is nothing else. You can believe in an afterlife, but as far as 2022, neither of these folks are on this planet. Not alive in any way, shape, or form.
Well said, and it's giving me flashbacks to go back and refreshing Brian Etten's feed with all you guys, because that's for days on end. This is what we were doing, getting these updates, and now this is really a chapter closing as we see the FBI finally closing the case, giving their final investigation update. The attorneys and the families giving their final statements. Look, there's still a lot of unanswered questions, and maybe someday we'll get something. We'll be sure to report it for you. But in the meanwhile, it does seem like it's finally time for the Petitos to hopefully get some peace, have gotten some answers, and attempt to then work on that foundation, which we will absolutely be supporting once they have more official information and making it official. We will be in touch. I have been in touch, so stay tuned. We're not going to forget Gabby. We're not going to stop talking about her legacy, but it does seem like the story has concluded. And for those 23% of you, John, it's 23% who still think Brian is alive. Hate to break it to you, I don't think you. I don't think
it's
he
amazing.
is, guys. It's not possible at this point. Doesn't make any sense. He was never the Bond villain that so many people thought. John, it was weird how high of a pedestal they put him on, as if he was this mastermind who could pull off this stuff. And the sad reality was he was a coward. He was a coward who took his own life, took her life.
It was the easy way out, no doubt. But he knew that he was guilty. He knew the evidence would be there. He knew he'd spend the rest of his life in prison. He didn't want to do that. He'd rather be dead. And that was his choice.
Oh, so heartbreaking.
Anybody who thinks that he didn't do it, you ought to ask that. How many people think Brian's innocent? Look at that number.
See, I know. I wish I could do a sub poll of everyone asked. Is Brian innocent? No, I mean I don't think anybody. I'll do that in a little bit. That's a tough one.
Yeah, Andy. I mean, some of them still think he's alive. So
let's ask. Yeah, all right. So we had 23%. I'll end the poll. Let's ask. Is he innocent? Oh God, there's just gonna be some trolls, but that would be incredibly offensive. You're not gonna be that offensive, right? This is gonna be. I'm gonna go for a 98%. Are you guys gonna disappoint me? How many trolls are in the chat? Is Brian Laundrie innocent? Let's see what they say. Oh God, I hope kick out that riffraff. But as we find that out, 99%. There we go. I like that. Even you surpassed my expectations right out the gate. Decent amount of votes, 99%. All right, thank goodness. 1% of trollery.
That's respectable.
Faith restored. Thank goodness. Well, John, always a pleasure to see you. Let's plug your YouTube channel, shall we? I don't know if you've had a chance to post much, but make sure people know it exists. Anything? Are you gonna try to put something else up there at some point?
I need to. I wish I sound like a broken record. I'm so busy, but I wish I wasn't.
Look at this. You're almost at 4,000 subscribers. Can you believe it? You're almost at 4,000 subscribers. That is a good amount of support. So, yeah, and you should be able to be monetized at this point. You got a whole potential sub business right there. So make sure I will follow up with you. Just text me again. I'll make sure I've turned on your monetization and help in any way. But I'm sure there's some cases once in a while you could pipe in on and make some comments on. So just reach out. I'll help make sure you get some word out. But if you haven't already, go check out John's channel. Get his views and numbers up. And always a pleasure to talk to you. Any final words or things you want to add before I let you go?
No, I appreciate it. I mean, to me, the outcome is no surprise to me. It's what we've been saying all along. It's just very predictable. And unfortunately, in this case, you saw that law enforcement as a whole didn't rise to the occasion to do everything they should have done in a proper manner. That's all. And in this case, as far as we know, there were no consequences for their bad behavior, for their screw up, so to speak.
Well said. And I'm encouraged that the 97%, a little bit of trollery snuck in a little bit. Still, that's a very high number. I'm going to end that poll just so I don't get mad as more trolls come in. That the percentage of you who think he's still alive has gone down tremendously, and obviously the majority of you are, almost all of you are sane enough to know that, yes, this man was guilty. John, pleasure to have you on the show. Guys, make sure you check out John Hubbard. We got so much more to talk about, but I am going to clip this for YouTube. If you're watching live, don't go anywhere. We aren't done on the live stream, but this will be clipped and trimmed, as I always do for my live shows. If you want to see the full live shows, if you caught on the replay, make sure you hit that join button.